I'm making dishpan cookies. And yes, I said dishpan because according to my mom's notes, it'll make a dishpan full. So stay tuned and I'll show you how to make them. Hello and welcome, friends. If you're new to my channel, my name is Andrea and this is Dessert First. So today I'm going to show you how to make dishpan cookies, and this is a recipe my mother had. I don't recall her ever making them, but maybe she did occasionally. So I've split this recipe in half because, well, it makes a dishpan full. So anyway, let's get started. All right, we're going to get started on our cookies. So I'm using my stand mixer for this because there's a lot in here. So we're going to start off with 1 cup of regular sugar, 1 cup of lightly packed light brown sugar, and 2 sticks of butter. These are unsalted, but if you had salted, that would be fine. They are at room temperature, but not super soft, so they've only been setting out for a few hours. So we're going to go ahead and start creaming that together. I'm going to add 2 large whole eggs. Okay, and now I'm going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So there's 1. And I'm going to put most of that one in. And then while that's mixing up, in the flour I have left here, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, sorry, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm just going to give that a mix. And then dump that in. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Give that a real good mix. Okay, now we are going to add 2 cups of cornflakes. And we're going to have to very gently mix this because we don't want it to crush them all up too much. I mean, they're going to get somewhat crushed, so. Okay. And then we're also going to add 3/4 of a cup of old-fashioned oats. So dump that in. And then we also need about 6 ounces of butterscotch chips. A bag of butterscotch chips is 11 ounces, so about half of that. And I'm just dumping it, which is about half, in there that I had left in the bag. And then the same, about 6 ounces of chocolate chips. I have the mini chocolate chips, so the little ones. You can use regular size though. So I'll dump those in. And then I'm going to add some coffee bits. And they come in a, let me see what size, an 8-ounce bag. So maybe only about 4 ounces of that. All right. Now we are just going to kind of pulse this. And we get a big spoon. I just don't want everything to get all broken up. I use the wooden spoon because the rubber spatula just would not be strong enough for this. I just kind of turn it, just trying to make sure that it appears that it's fairly well mixed. So we're going to give it a couple more pulses. There we go. Okay, back in the bowl. All right. So one of the notes my mother had on this recipe was that it makes a pan full, a dish pan full. I'm not exactly sure what a dish pan is. Seems like maybe, because I think that harkens back to a even older age than I am. But it seems like maybe they used to use like a pan in the sink to wash dishes with, maybe? I don't know. If you know, leave a comment. All right. So I've got my oven preheating to 325 degrees. I have a couple of baking sheets that are lined with parchment paper. And normally I would use a scoop. You know, if you watch some of my other cookie videos, you know I like to use the little scoop to make little, almost like bite-sized cookies. But today, because there's so much in here, the little scoop, even my medium scoop, you're just not going to get everything in a cookie. So I'm just going to use a regular kitchen spoon, and we're just going to spoon these. So they're probably not all going to be exactly the same size, but for this, I think that's okay. So we're just going to kind of spoon this. They're just going to be big cookies, really. So I honestly don't recall my mom ever making these. They're not familiar to me at all. But maybe she did when I was really young, and I just don't recall that. So I'm only going to go 3 across because these are probably going to spread. And the original recipe did not call for vanilla. It did not call for toffee bits. And it actually used oil, so like a vegetable oil of some sort, but I decided to use butter instead. I just think the butter will make a better, more flavorful cookie than oil. All right. So I'm going to finish getting all these cookies out on the baking sheets. And then my oven is almost preheated. Again, it's 325. And then these are going to bake for about 8 to 10 minutes, although mine are a little bigger, so they may take just a little bit longer. So we'll see. I have no idea what size they used to make. She used to make these cookies, so I just don't recall I have a frame of reference for that. So anyway, so I'm going to finish the other tray up and get them in the oven and finish up all of these. All right, so my first batch of cookies are done. And since I made them so big, they actually took 16 minutes. So I just left them until they started to get just a tiny bit of golden color on the edges. The bottoms are baked perfectly. So, and this batch, I was able to get 4 dozen at this size. But you can see these are a whopper of a cookie. I mean, look at that. That's how big it is. And honestly, the recipe I made was actually cut in half. So the original recipe was double. So if you doubled it and you made this size cookie, you would get 8 dozen cookies, which is crazy. It's a lot. So I guess that's why my mom had a note that said it makes a dishpan full, because it makes a lot of cookies. So let's put a couple of cookies on here on our plate. And you would need like a really big glass of milk, I think, with these. So, but I love that you can see the butterscotch chips, you can see the chocolate chips. I mean, everything is in there. So, and let's break it in half. Oh, it's still soft on the inside. They're pretty good. So you have some of the chewiness from the oatmeal and the cornflakes. They're still soft, but they do have a little bit of a snap to them too. So these are amazing cookies. So if you're needing something for a big gathering, maybe a church function, great for maybe Vacation Bible School over the summer where you got lots of little hands. I mean, they wouldn't need more than 1 or 2 cookies. So anyway, I hope that you enjoy this recipe. If you do, go ahead and give me a like, share, ask me any questions you might have or comments, and subscribe. Absolutely subscribe. All right, until next time, friends.